Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the podcast this week. We're going to number 5, the 10 things about this market that you need to know about. And number 5 is motivated sellers. Again, motivated sellers that need to sell their home. With the new NAR thing coming out in the next few months, what do you think is going to happen?
So that new law is supposed to take effect August 2024. I honestly think there's not going to be much change, and my take on it is, if you're a seller and you want your property to sell, you're going to have to work with a buyer's agent, because as a listing agent, we might not always have the buyer lined up, and that's where maybe a buyer's agent already has a buyer that they've already been working with. So, it's just...
You want to attract them, right? You don't want them to say, I'm not going to show that house because that seller doesn't want to pay for my services.
Right.
Let's find somebody else that does.
Exactly. So I think it's just... I think real estate's always changing, and you have to adapt to these changes. And as a listing agent, you're going to have to educate the seller,
right,
and tell them when you're getting ready to take that that property and you're getting ready to put it on the market, tell them why it's important to still offer a commission on the selling side, because let's be 100% honest, right? As a listing agent, if I'm taking on listing, I'm not always going to have a buyer lined up for it, and then that opens up dual agency, which we were talking a little bit about earlier. It opens up with all these lawsuits going on. When you take that listing, you sign that listing agreement states that you have a fiduciary obligation to represent the seller. Right. And then let's just say you double end it. Now you become a neutral agent, and you have to be very careful with that.
Right. And obviously, because you took the listing, that is your primary focus on selling the property. Yeah. As a buyer's agent, your primary focus is to get the best deal for your buyer.
Right.
As a listing agent, your best focus is get the best deal for your seller.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
At the end of the day, I think it's very difficult to represent both sides.
Yeah.
Especially again with this situation that we can get ourselves into, where we have to be over disclosing everything on the property to avoid any lawsuits.
Yes.
And again, for a seller, this new rule, I wouldn't take it as me getting as a seller a commission cut for everybody else who's saving some money.
Right.
I would take it as an opportunity to find an opportunity to be able to market your property even further. Like we talked about, if you have a buyer's agents that are looking at your properties and you're offering an incentive to show your property, hey man, your property's probably going to sell a lot faster.
Right. That's 100%. I agree with that. Yeah. So I totally agree with you, man. You hit it right there on the.
Me as a buyer, I don't know if I would trust the listing agent to represent me in the best manner. And I'm not saying I'm just saying in general, there's going to be some stuff that might be hidden underneath the rug that you don't tell me as a buyer, because you're not going to go against your seller and not try to get them to sell the property. You want to save them money from having to do any repairs.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess it just depends on...
It depends on the listing agent.
Right.
The way that I work is, I think honesty is the best policy. So if I represent a seller, and let's just say hypothetically I bring the buyer and I represent both sides, I'm still going to be 100% ethical and disclose everything. Because at the end of the day, the motto is relationships over transactions every single time.
Always.
And your reputation is more important than a paycheck. So the way that I operate is, if I'm going to, and I've done multiple transactions where I double end both sides, and I just always disclose everything to my knowledge, and I tell my buyers, like, hey, you know what, you can do this inspection, roof, plumbing, electrical, the whole 9 yards. And some buyers want to do it and some they don't, but thank God I've never had any issues. Right. But it does get tricky. I agree with you 100%.
And then again, with this new rule applying now, as you representing a buyer, you have to disclose everything up front as far as what your commission is going to be.
Yes.
An agreement has to be signed before you even submit an offer.
Yes.
And obviously for buyers, this is going to be a little different, because before the listing agent was negotiating your fees with the seller already. So you would always tell a buyer, like we talked about, oh, no, don't worry, the seller's covering our costs, which was true. Now that could still be true, except that now you have to negotiate it up front when you're submitting an offer.
Right, right. Yep. So yeah, that's and you're gonna have to have the buyer sign that broker's what is it? The broker's buyer
agreement.
where I started using it on vacant lots. I have yet to use it on an actual property. The only time I've used it is where if I'm driving far, like Bakersfield, for example, I'll have the buyers sign the agreement that I'm working with them for 180 days. We're shopping in this price range. We're shopping in this county, and they sign it. But now they're gonna add the compensation part where I'm gonna have to negotiate my commission on the buyer side, and it comes down to educating them, and I think we're gonna be fine.
I think it's going to be business as usual,
Yep.
especially because the lenders on conventional FHA and VA all agree that commissions is still a part of our business.
Yes.
And they're going to allow that either to be done as a seller credit or allow that for you as a buyer's agent sending a contract to the sellers.
Yep.
Are agreeing to put the commission still on the seller side
Yeah.
of the HUD. So in my opinion, as long as the listing agents like yourself and all these agents
Doing a good job.
are doing a good job of
Yeah.
explaining up front to the sellers and saying, hey, look, I 100% see what you're seeing out in the market, saying, hey, we don't have to pay another commission. But like we said, it's like, do you want your home to sit, or do you want an army of agents coming to show your property?
Like, hey, I'm offering a commission, guys. Bring me your buyers. That's the way I would tell my seller.
And now you have an opportunity where you might get multiple offers.
Yes.
You listed at 500,000,
Yeah.
and now you're saying you can offer commission. What about if you get a $530,000 offer
Of
and
course.
you're paying a commission? You're still gonna make more
Oh yeah.
than the house
Yeah.
sitting there and you trying to get a discount
Yeah.
on selling your property.
Yeah.
So that's a huge deal, guys. Make sure you reach out to us. Any of this information, hopefully it
Yeah.
makes sense. I know the media is trying to crack it a whole different way.
Right. Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I still think it's business as usual as long
Yes.
as you disclose.
And it's all your mindset and how you approach it, and just got to educate yourself.
100%.
There you go.
All right, guys.
Let us
see
know.
you.